watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Happy to have you join us today. Jam-packed show, a lot of talk about the quarterback position at Tennessee. We'll also talk about Josh Richardson, some odds that have been released, some stories that maybe all of us are tired of talking about, or we'll debate whether or not they're still worthy of conversation. We got all that and more. First segment of our show brought to you by the fine folks at Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. When it comes to finding a buyer for your home, you need a realtor that uses the technology that's available, technology like this show. You also want a realtor who goes the extra mile, say like employing an interior decorator to help set up your home for an open house. Well, that kind of realtor is Phil Cobble. And they do have an interior decorator on staff there that can present your home during an open house, move the furniture around, make it look right to the buyer. That can raise the sale price of your home by 5 to 10%. Find out more by getting in touch with Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land this week. All right, let me tell you what's coming up on today's show. Josh Richardson drafted. We'll talk about that first. Good Dobbs or bad Dobbs? Which Dobbs shows up for Tennessee this year? Transfer-itis. Should Vol fans be prepared to see some of these quarterbacks exit the door that they just recently walked through? Status check. Some stories just keep coming up. They won't die. We'll discuss them. Dobbs versus the SEC. Where does he rank? Some odds around on Tennessee's season ahead. We'll look at those. Do those odds seem right? SEC odds to win the championship. And then leaving liked. A lot of quarterbacks here don't leave liked. So we'll ask if Josh Dobbs will break the trend. And, of course, Jimmy Hyams will be joining us very shortly. Right now, the panel to start off, Bob Hodge, from freelance contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. Mike Strange, longtime contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel, also can be heard on the Sentinel Sports Page radio show on Sports Radio WNML. And there's Chuck Cavaleris from SouthernGolfNews.com and Southern Golf News, the magazine. Paper or magazine?
Magazine.
Describe it as a magazine. All right. Guys, this week, former Vol Josh Richardson was selected and became a second-round pick of the Miami Heat. Pat Riley, the GM, said they had him as a first-round prospect. He was the 40th player picked overall, so it wasn't like he was the end of the second round. Taking top third of the second round. Going to be playing for Butch Jones' buddy Eric Spoelstra down there. But here's the question. Do most Vol fans care? And I'm trying to be ugly, but do most Vol fans care that Josh Richardson went to the Miami Heat in the second round?
I'm deferring to you, Mike.
My question is, why wouldn't they care? He's an example of a guy who came in here and developed over 4 years, getting his dream to play in the NBA, where certainly Tennessee's program could use any presence they can get, because you got, C.J. Watson, Tobias Harris, and sort of Jarnell Stokes. If he can get on an NBA roster, that's another presence. I don't see why people wouldn't care.
I'm not saying they shouldn't care. I just don't know how many Tennessee fans. I think most Tennessee fans follow football more than basketball. I hear a lot more talk about NFL than NBA. If Josh Richardson were a defensive back that had just been drafted by the Chicago Bears, then I think people would be more excited about it. I think there's a group that let's look through time. You've got Bernard King, people loved him. Ernie Grunfeld, Allen Houston. Where does Marcus Hayslip hit on that one?
Who? Not.
So I just, I'm not, no knock on Richardson, but I just don't know that people are having celebrations that they had a guy picked off this last year's team.
I'm going to go down the road with you, and I'll tell you the reason why is I think basketball at Tennessee it's not a niche sport, but it has a niche. And I've got a friend who's had season tickets with his family since the 70s. They care that he was drafted. They'll follow him. It's important to them. But I think so many Tennessee fans, they ebb and flow with how successful the basketball team is. During the Bruce Pearl era, boy, every player was important. Every player was locked. We're going to follow this guy. Then when it started tailing off a little bit in the interest, it didn't drop into to rock bottom. But when it tailed off, I think people quit following these guys. You'll still have people argue, is Wayne Chisholm, should he have his number retired? I don't think Josh Richardson, who is probably every bit as good a player as Chisholm, I don't think you'll ever hear an argument about that, and it's because of the era, like you said, that he played in.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is timing, though, John. I mean, you're looking at June. There's not going to be this time of year maybe as much interest as you would like.
Okay, we're
but
talking
I
about two
think
different
Tennessee
timings.
basketball fans were very happy. I think the majority of them, because they saw the contributions Josh Richardson made, not just as a senior, but as a junior. A self-made player that came in not very highly ranked, that had a really good junior season.
Let me make it clear once again. I think it's a good story. I think he's a fine player. I think that he was a guy that everybody said he doesn't belong here when Conzo Martin signed him. I think a lot of people didn't like Conzo Martin. That didn't help matters. And I think it was the most apathetic year last year with Donnie Tyndall and the cloud hanging over him that Tennessee has had since Buzz Peterson. I think it's a victim of the situation. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve credit. I think he does. I think it's a great story, and I think it could be great for
Talk
Tennessee
about
if he
playing
plays
in a
well.
ho-hum era. Allen Houston played in a ho-hum.
Allen Houston was also transcendent. That's my point. You've got name me somebody that ranks with King Grunfeld and Allen Houston.
Del Ellis.
Okay.
You know, I'll even disagree with Chuck on that a little bit. I don't think that Dale Ellis, when you talk to people, Tennessee basketball fans, I don't think you get that Dale Ellis is in that conversation with those other guys.
Great player, tremendous player, popular player.
I'm not even so sure that Allen Houston is. He's not in the conversation with King and Grunfeld.
I think those three, though, stand above there. Again, I just keep going back to Marcus Haislip. Played in the league, 3-4 years? Was a good player at UT, but nobody talks about
But
Marcus.
here's one thing I would wonder, too. With so many negative things that happened at the University of Tennessee in the past 10 years, you have a great story like this that comes along. And if fans don't appreciate it, or the majority of fans don't, that's their problem.
I just think, and then part of it goes back to NBA. It's not an NBA town.
You brought up, football. Tennessee being a football school, football fans, I would think they would be glad to see anybody drafted.
True enough. Yeah, and again, I want to make it clear that's not a knock on Josh Richardson.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I think I just think he's kind of trapped. He played during an era where one coach was, I don't know if he was divisive, but people were divided over him. And then the next coach just came in, and that will be a year that will be forgotten.
I think the difference is was there interest? Sure, there was interest. Was there excitement? No, I don't think there was a whole lot of excitement. And I think that's what kind of separates the Pearl from what came after Pearl.
Well, best of luck to him. I mean, here's the thing.
Sure.
If he and Stokes and Harris can make careers from them, and Harris has, but if they can make good long careers for themselves in the NBA, that's only going to help Rick Barnes and University of Tennessee basketball moving forward. So, all right, when we come back, we saw 2 Josh Dobbs last year. Which one are we going to see this year? Most people expect the high side, the guy that was really good against South Carolina late, looked great against Iowa. But will it be the guy that played against Missouri and Vandy? We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Quality, quick. Trust Fast Frame.